Oh, geez, I don't know where you start. After that briefing, you probably wouldn't hire me because wherever I go, trouble seems to follow. I've heard everybody start with their type. So my type's black clothing, strong lattes, art, and not cars. But in all seriousness, and I'll give you one away, you can guess the other three. In relation to the first, I or E, if E's over here, and I is over here, I'm over here. People disagree with me, but I don't know. Anyway, so I'm blessed to be the storyteller of the Holden story. And I say that because as a kid growing up in the outer suburbs of Melbourne, I never would have dreamt that at this point in time in its amazing history, of which we've been around since 1856, that it would be my job and my team's job to try to sort a mess out that wasn't of our making. So I'll try to give you 160 years history in a minute. You can time me, I'll see how I go. But a guy who was 16 years old left England. He went to California, tried his hand at gold. Didn't work out. Got on a sailing ship, which you can see in a museum these days, and decided that he would go to Adelaide, which would be like going to Mars. And I know there's some Adelaideans in the room, I'm sorry. I love Adelaide. And set up a place to make saddles. Again, you can see them in a museum. He then decided the saddle business wasn't going that great, so let's start making carts. Carts became cars. Cars became imported kits. We then decided that we would engineer things, and that was 1931. Now, like most families, he was the grandfather by that time, so he'd passed it from father to son to grandson. And of course, in 1931, the Great Depression happened, and the grandson screwed up the business, and it was purchased at that point by General Motors, one of the world's largest multinationals. So who here owns a Holden? Look around. That's my problem. And it's my problem because as a business, at one point we were relevant to this country. Everybody had a Holden story. In fact, some people may have even been conceived in the back of one. I'm not going to go there. Right? But it was so ingrained in the psyche of this country at a point in time. And people who were in my job before me took all of you in this room and everybody outside of this room for granted. It's not a sustainable business model. So we get purchased, we sing about football, meat pies, kangaroos and Holden cars. And we wrap ourselves in an Australian flag. But we weren't Australian since 1931. But it didn't suit our purposes to tell you anything other than that. So fast forward to, I'm trying to forget it, I'm still having therapy, trust me. If a company can break a human, they've found a place to work. But I started working at Holden, I loved the joint, I went and worked at the factory. We asked our guys over at the factory, and they're predominantly men, to make concessions so we could save the place. And I don't know if you can remember the debate that went on during the course of 2012 and into 2013. Do you invest, don't you invest? Can we, basically take more money from the government? I don't know, I'm not here to relitigate that. I'm here to talk about the personal aspects of that change. So we asked our people to make major concessions, and to their credit, they did. But come the 11th of the 12th, 13th, GM made a decision that they were going to shut the doors. And like most people at Holden, if you ask them where they were, it's a bit like the moon landing. When they found out that the place was going to close, you know where you were. And everybody responded differently. In my case, I cried a lot. I still do, because it broke me. So we told our people that there's 4 years between when we told them and when they would cease, and they ceased on the 20th of October this year. That happened at December, Christmas time. We went on vacation, we came back. But imagine what it would be like to be an employee of our business who had come to work every single day to make amazing products, and something happens entirely beyond their control. You're helpless. How am I going to pay my bills? Do I do IVF or don't do IVF? Do I get divorced? Do I get married? Do we have fights? Do I don't have fights? You name it, we did it to 2,500 people. Now, one of the problems we have is that we are rooted, you can use that in both senses of the word, in the past. And everybody at Holden has a past story. Remember when that iconic car, can you remember that day that? When you're running a business, you can't be rooted in the past. You've got to honour it, but you can't let every sentence start with, remember when. It's not a business model. Remember when is a pathway to irrelevance. Now, I love this business. I'm very passionate about it. You can probably tell I am. And my team is as well. But if all you're ever doing is honouring the past and thinking about the past, you can't succeed and you can't forge your future. So as a board, we sat down in January and we came up with two statements. The first one is, if all we simply did was shrink the business, we failed every employee who's ever worked for us, every customer we've ever had, and every customer we would have into the future. The other thing we decided is, not what we didn't decide, I think we always knew, we cared deeply about our people, and you've probably seen that over the last 4 years. But the most important thing was that, if for no other reason to say get stuff to General Motors, which is a typical Australian type of thing, we were going to make sure that the last car and last engine we built in this country was the best car and best engine built in this country. And I'm pleased to say today I got an email from our quality lead who confirmed that General Motors closed its best plant globally for the 7th month running. Kind of doesn't make sense, not willing to litigate, need to get beyond. So, what we were known for was Aussie flag, Commodores, and making every car in our portfolio. But if I ask people today what we're known for, the answer is nothing. And our market research told us we are irrelevant. Now, as a board, it's kind of hard to swallow. As a team of people who come to work every day to make a difference, it's even more difficult. So we decided that we can't stand for nothing, we have to stand for something. So what we decided to do first was to honour our past. And I'll start here and then I'll go back. So 4 years ago, if you had said to me that, according to this, 70% would be employed in jobs, permanent, full-time, that 84% would say that essentially that they are satisfied with their outcome on transition, that the media sentiment in regards to closing was positive, and that we would sell more cars in the month of October than we did in every month this year, I would have given our team probably a 5% chance. But the reality is that we have succeeded and we've done that. So how do we do it? Firstly, when you touch a person who works in a business, you're touching the microcosm that exists around them. So if you terminate my employment, my partner is concerned, my children are concerned, my family is concerned. We decided that we would recognise that, particularly in Elizabeth, which is already the third most socially disadvantaged part of Australia. Again, we knew that if my partner asked me, hey Ash, what's Holden doing for you after I've sit down on my couch after 7 hours on the line, I'm more likely to go nothing. So to overcome that, what we did is we invited the partners of our employees in, and we held sessions where we educated them about all the services that we were providing them so that they could actually proactively encourage their partners to get out and do the things we needed to do. The other thing we did as well was that we shared wins. Now, originally this started as a HR initiative where we'd write the name of a person on the board, we'd write what position and what business they went to. The employees found out about it and it went viral. So now we have many boards in our transition centre. Employees actually proactively come up. They want to write their own name. They don't want HR people writing their names. And we take photos of them and they celebrate it. And it's about celebrating and creating memories. We also tell our story because we had forever existed as an amazing business, but we kept it on the other side of the fence. You weren't allowed in. And so we want to get out there, just like here today, talking about it. And then we use deep data and analysis to work out what succeeds and what didn't. In our case, we were not the first company to close. but we're a smart company. So what we did is we started by asking who'd closed before, what had worked, what hadn't worked. And the HR community is amazingly giving when you give them the opportunity to tell you those things. So we put them all together and came up with what we are currently doing. So kudos to the team who are basically here. Jen, you're a rock star, and Callie and Sally and the rest. But they are, every single day we come to work to find jobs for other people. And to date, we've probably got more jobs than we have people to fill them, but we're sharing them with the supply community. So that's my little bit about the past. Now I have to get over myself. Right. I've just come back from the States where I spent 3 weeks learning about disruption. I don't know what your businesses do, but you are going to be disrupted. And you can either stay over here and go, it's not going to affect me, or you can jump in and go, all right, I want to own it. We decided to disrupt ourselves. I think it was Cisco who told me you've got 2 choices. Somebody can, and apologise, it's their quote, not mine. You can either be shot in the head, or you can shoot yourself in the foot. And we chose to shoot ourselves in the foot. So what we've done on a people perspective, we've got 2 things. We've got the Transition Centre I've briefly talked about. We've also got our Accelerate Centre. Accelerate, we're a car company. I'm surprised we didn't use Drive, but that had been taken by Toyota. They got in there first, sorry. Ours is better, I'll give you facts. But what we decided to do, we wanted to work on development, we wanted to work on well-being, and we wanted to work on transition. And again, we're succeeding. The amount of walk-ins we have where people have found out there's a safe space where I can go and get advice in relation to changing levels, changing roles, working on my own personal skills, you name it, we cover it, and it's great. Transition, it's about getting job ready. Am I mentally ready? Am I resilient? Do I know how to apply for a job in a digital economy? Do I know how LinkedIn works? Do I know how algorithms work? Am I ready for a medical? Do I understand psychometric testing? They're the things you don't want to learn when you need to know them. So we used all our HR skill to reverse engineer the entire process to go, all right, let's do some psychometric testing. Not that you can game it, but at least when you do the test, you don't want to be surprised by it. Same with medicals. We had some tough conversations. It's hard to tell somebody that, look, whether you like it or not, there's an unconscious or conscious bias, which is if you're obese, I'm not hiring you. I've made that decision in the first 2 seconds. You might be a PhD, but you walk in obese, I'm not hiring you. It's a fact. Lose some weight. Get a haircut. Join this century. They're the tough conversations we've been having, or Jen's been having. I just have to pick the pieces up. So I want to talk about one of these because it's been really, really critical, and I think Mitch is in the room. Mitch, you're a champ. I worked in a business where 4 years ago, this was what hero worshipping was. How many hours sleep did you have? 3. 3's for wimps. 2.5, you're a rock star. It's stupid. Today we sit in a room and go, how much sleep do you do? 8 hours. 8 hours is for wimp, I put in 9. It's an entirely different business. Wellness and well-being is the future. For some businesses, I know you already have it, but deep ingrained well-being. When my amazing, and you think I'm an introvert over there, my MD's in a different, I think he's probably in the Sydney Convention Centre. He hates this, which is why I have to do it. But the future is about caring for yourself. Now, it's great if a company can care about you, but you need to care for yourself. So again, 4 years ago, if I'd been talking, 5% of my, and this guy's can evidence, where's Lib? She knows too. 5% of my life was about friends, family, faith, partner. And 95% of my life was about Holden or work. That's not a sustainable model. Today, we are not only myself, but as all leaders, we are actually more centered and grounded. We talk about our feelings, genuinely, for an hour, once a week. Gets messy, that's why I bought the tissues. We talk about sleep, we talk about our families. And we sweat together. I know it sounds odd, but we do. We are different people because of it. And I think we're better leaders because of it. So what I'm showing here is essentially an initiative we've run where we run little challenges. We run challenges also for the less, because we've learnt this too along the way, for people who don't want to be as active as we are. But we do meditation, we do mindfulness, we do yoga, we do Pilates. I say we, not me. I should probably get out there a bit more though. And we do a lot of physical activity. But the business benefit is astounding. For not much money, we lost, in this challenge, and we've run a subsequent one, I don't have the data for that yet, but we lost 3.7 metres, which is 1, 2, 3, and a bit, waistline. Your business has to be a better business if you lose that much waste. I contributed a bit. But you can see here, our business, the people who participated feel more connected. I met more people from other functions than I'd ever met before. And as I said, there's nothing like sweating your guts out with people you work with at all levels of a business. It just feels better. So we also decided that we need a deeper purpose. And we needed to stand for something because you told us we stand for nothing. So we decided that we wanted to, as a group, focus on diversity. So congratulations to the 86% of Melbourne who voted yes. For the people who voted no, that's your choice. But we work as a yes business, and we've decided to be a yes business actively. But you've got to stand for something. So we stand now for diversity and all forms of it. Now in gender equality, I'm pleased to say that we have addressed the gender pay gap. At Holden, if you're female, you get paid 2% more than I do. We don't shout that from the ceilings, but it's true. With regards to Indigenous issues, we want to play a role. That's how you can be relevant when you stop doing the thing that people cared about. So, a little bit of science, and Lib, you'll remember this. But in 2012, we partnered with Deloitte and we ran a survey where we asked all the employees who wanted to participate to choose from a list of words that describe leadership as they perceived it at that time. And you've got the two groups here. So group one is what I demonstrated as a leader. Now I'm pleased to say I wasn't a leader in 2012. And the second group is what they valued. Now I don't know about you, but in 2012, I don't want to, nor would I ever want to work for a business where leadership is described as aggressive, set in their ways, or assertive. But in 2012, our people told us that's what they thought of us. What they wanted was us to be approachable, team building, all those softer things. But what they saw was aggression. What they saw was set in their ways, delegating. Not great. I wouldn't want to work there. Anyone want to work for that company? No. So the last 4 years, we've focused on taking care of our people, making them resilient, making them fitter, making them more mindful. And we ran this same survey in December last year. Now, in December last year, we hadn't driven Rainbow Colorados down Oxford Street as part of Mardi Gras. We hadn't made our statement that we were going to ensure that we had gender equality within our business by 2020. We hadn't done that yet. But this is what our people told us. So the bad had gone, replaced with some new ones, and they want us to be visionary and inspiring. Now it's kind of counterintuitive where, 2012 we had about 5,000 people, today we have about 800 people. We've kicked ourselves to death in the press, we've told 2/3 of the business they don't have a job, yet the people who were leaving said that we had changed and changed for the better. Now I only show this because a lot of people would say, you told your employees 4 years ago that they were going to lose their job, and some businesses would turn to chaos and throw their arms up in the air. But there is a different way. Now we have some work to do, and we'll continue to focus on it. We will develop our people, we believe in empowering others, and we want to be more creative and innovative. But to have lost aggression and set in their ways, was, from a HR person's perspective, there's nothing more pleasing. So how do we perceive ourselves today? I'll actually start with this one. I don't think it was last day, but it was pretty close to it. But it kind of sums up what it's like to work, or what it was like to work at Holden. These are guys who signed up to that vision of making the last car the best car. And as I said earlier, they did it. But it shows the care, the love, the empathy, and the hard work to guide 932 people right through to the 20th of October. So how have we done it? Or we call it the recipe. It's easy. I say that, it's not. Having a goal, it's simple. Ours was make sure the last car is the best car. When you go to make a decision, is it going to help us do that? Yes or no? Simple. Goal clarity. You provide goal clarity to your people, they will follow you. Now, it wasn't negotiable. So if I didn't want to make sure the last car was the best car, I had a choice. Get the hell out of Dodge. It's not a consensus-based deal, people. Our vision, make sure that last car is the best car. Next one, role clarity. What's my piece of that goal? Not what does my position description say. That's a piece of paper. What am I doing in my role, whether it be me or one of my team, to deliver on that goal? And then the 3 C's, confidence, connectedness, and control. Confidence. Fueling each other's confidence, it makes work amazing. Control, I trust that you know what you're doing. If you don't, you shouldn't be in that job. And then connectedness. Am I supporting everybody else? Do we have those relationships? What we've tried to do is, and I use a sports philosophy, so we brought in a sports psych, really good one. Unfortunately, she takes care of the United Kingdom hockey team, which she's very good at. But we use sports psychology all the time. If I was in an elite sporting team and we see ourselves as elite leaders, I wouldn't tolerate somebody who doesn't play well. They'd go to the seconds. I might spend a little bit of time investing them and coaching them to good, but if I couldn't get them there, I wouldn't tolerate them on the team. So we've focused on that. We've also focused on attitudes of choice. Who here knows somebody who, when they walk into the room, there's just an amazing abundance of positivity? Right? How does that feel? Awesome. Who here knows when you walk into a room, somebody's a black hole? Right? Indeed, right? We've elected to shamelessly, purposely, find the black holes and find them happiness somewhere else. Life's too short. It really is. And when you surround yourself with positivity and energy, it's flow. And you can do what I've just talked about. But investing in somebody who's negative, not just, I don't mind a contrarian, but you walk into a room and it's like there's this pulling power of the black. It's just not worth it. Mutual accountability. I will do what I said I would do. And if I don't, consequences. Learn, read, network. Trust. Trust, talent, fulfillment. It's kind of the same thing, which is if we've hired the right people and they're in the right job and they have the right energy, let them do their job. I asked the team at the back whether I succeed in that one, but anyway. And then lastly, excellence. Don't settle for anything else. And that's our recipe. Goal, role, 3 C's, attitude, accountability, learning. We just get on with it. And this is how it feels.
The one common theme that every generation in the world craves is confidence. We all want to be brave and continue to believe in possibilities and strive forward.
You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path.
No matter how shit scared, or imperfect, or vulnerable, or confused we may feel. When we break it all down, there's really only two simple choices we have in life. To go, or not to go. To believe, or not to believe. To play it safe, or to have a crack. An attitude that says, I can choose to stay here and play it safe, or I can choose to go there. We have a choice over our mindset that takes us on a path of one or two directions. Sometimes it's the road less travelled, or the road without lights. But always it's the road we aspire to, that says dreams can come true.
Be among those who dare to dare.
The great ones actually figure it out.